If you would like to know how to create safety for the man in your life so that you can enjoy a healthier, happier partnership, then this video is for you. Hi, my name is David, co-creator of Sex.Prayers, a relating consultancy where, with my partner Tiffany, we teach people everything that they need to know to be able to enjoy a healthy partnership, because we're not taught this stuff. We're told to just go out into the world and figure it out. But there's so much to learn, and it's why we've created a Pillars to Partnership program. Everything that we needed to learn to become ready, to become the people we needed to become, to be able to enter into this partnership that we enjoy now. But I digress. This video is about creating safety for yourself and for the men or man in your life. My last Dance to Polarity conversation, I spoke with a dear, dear friend about her experiences on safety and trust with the masculine. Got into some really interesting points. One of which was she told me about how when she goes into a small space like a lift or an elevator and it's just her and another man, there's this sense of needing to know how to deal with the potential of danger in that situation. And it's not something that I've really experienced as a man. I don't go into a lift and when I'm in there with another person or when I'm in there with another man, I have to think, oh man, is this guy gonna do something to me, or is something going to go down? What am I going to do? They're not really thoughts that cross my mind very often. Whereas for her, there's this innate awareness of, is this person safe? And if they get this sense, the intuition that there's perhaps an element of unsafety, then this escape plan part of her mind kicks into gear, and it's figuring out what to do in order to create safety. She spoke into how when she doesn't feel safe, she doesn't feel comfortable. And that comfort and safety for her go hand in hand. And this speaks into a lot of the conversations that I've had where women feel safe when they feel like their nervous system is regulated, when they don't have to be on alert, when they can just relax and surrender. And what I went into with this friend of mine in our conversation was how in past relationships she's had a lack of emotional safety because people that she has been with have not been able to be in control of their own emotions or express them in a way that lets her know that she is safe. And it was this idea that the desire to know that she is able to express herself and have that held, that whilst she doesn't need for them to hold her emotions because she is a sovereign being and capable of doing that for herself, there's this desire to know that should she want to hand over some of her security and ask to be held, that she will be able to be received in that, and that she can fully surrender into the into her feminine essence, because she understands and acknowledges and appreciates that the man she is with is capable of taking that responsibility of holding her emotionality should she choose to hand it over. And if that's not there, then there's this constant idea of just always being on edge to a degree, whether it's very, very subtle or subconscious. It's just like, I don't think I can fully relax and surrender and let go, because if I needed to be held, I don't think you're going to be able to do that. And this kind of speaks into a woman's desire or a feminine desire to be able to surrender fully, also in sexual exchange. You know, sexual exchange being this opportunity for the man to hold presence and be in integrity and strong, and the woman to really fully surrender and be in this state of receptivity. And the emotional component of that, being able to surrender emotionally, then invites a deeper sense of physical surrender, and that leads to more physical enjoyment, pleasure. And I found it really, really interesting to go back to the idea of the lift, the confined space, that, or just in general, when talking about giving off an energy. Because I asked this person, well, when you're around men who find you attractive and they express that, is that something that you find annoying or something that you find flattering? And the response I received was, well, it can be flattering, but it can also be annoying when it is excessive or repeated. And it goes back to something that's come up in previous conversations, that there's this just question of, does this person want something from me? And it's the difference of energetic attraction compared to sexual attraction. So how can I as a man show up in a way where I can appreciate the feminine essence and the beauty of femininity in front of me from an energetic point of view rather than a sexual point of view? I think that's challenging for many. It's not something that's it's definitely something that's not taught or encouraged or even really acknowledged. This, because what it speaks into is not just sexual but emotional mastery, I feel. If a man can exhibit himself and hold presence and demonstrate an energetic as opposed to a sexual appreciation and attraction. Like, I can find a woman energetically attractive rather than focused on a sexual attraction. If the sexual attraction or sexual energetic is what leaks through, that can create that sense of unsafety. And it sounds like, from not just this conversation but the conversations that I had, that women can tell. Women can tell when a man is demonstrating something perhaps a little insidious, that's the word I was looking for, insidious, something a little out of integrity. This idea in tantric philosophy of duality, these polar opposites. There's this idea of masculinity and femininity from this expression of Shiva and Shakti, the presence and the play, the transcendent and the immanent. That this quality of masculinity, the essence, the presence, and quality of femininity, the playfulness and being, is inherent to all of us. It's just expressed differently through different entities. And it seems that women have a more proclivity towards the emotional and men towards the intellectual. In tantric teachings, the mental emotional is a layer of consciousness. They're not separate or not seen as separate, but just two sides of the same coin. Can't have a thought without a feeling or a feeling without a thought. It seems, though, that women have more of an affinity to be able to be more emotionally attuned, and maybe this is because of the hormonal cycle that they experience, hormones being linked to emotions and emotions being linked to essentially their somatic, energetic experience in the body. Then women's sensitivity to it may be more adept, and so they're able to, you know, she spoke into when she gets on a lift or an elevator and she intuits a sense of unsafety. It's because there's something going on in her body that she can't really quite describe or explain, but it's just a response. because he's attuned to it. And it seems that men are perhaps less attuned to the emotional end of the spectrum, more so to the intellectual, the analytical, because one, they're biologically less sensitive to it, but also because societally we've not been encouraged as men overall to explore and express our emotionality. And so when I asked my contributor, well, what is it that you do to help the man or the men in your life feel safe? Because ultimately, it seems that men who aren't able to own their emotional experience is because they don't feel safe to be able to do that. And it may be that they've expressed emotionality in the past and it's not been well received, and so there's been the unconscious scarring, if you will, samskara in Sanskrit, these impressions that take hold at the subconscious level of how to conduct oneself without thinking. It's just done automatically. That expressing and exploring emotions isn't something that's or hasn't been encouraged in men, so they shy away from it or don't do it. And so when I asked her, well, what is it that you do to encourage safety for the men in your life? She said, I ask questions. I get curious about his experience. I listen and I shut up. I don't say anything to it. I don't react or respond. Really, I just receive. And in that receptivity, it creates safety because the person feels accepted. They feel that they can express themselves and be received and know that it's safe. They know that they can express emotionality and it be held and not reacted to or against. And it seems that as women, if one of your gifts is emotional acuity, emotional intelligence, emotional mastery, if you will, then the power lies in you. The power to be able to create safety for men by receiving their emotionality, by letting them know that they can express themselves and it be okay, because you can receive it, you can hold it and not react or respond to it, but simply accept it. That then invites them to explore their emotionality. It creates a safe space for them to learn, to explore it, to be able to master it for themselves, so that in turn, they have the emotional intelligence, fortitude, and capability to be able to offer it back. They have found the safety within themselves to be able to offer it to you women, or to women. And I feel like that's such a beautiful place to arrive at, and and also a challenging place, because it's a bit of a chicken and egg scenario. In order to feel safe with someone, it requires you feeling safe within yourself to be able to create safety for them so that they can reciprocate by finding safety within themselves. It's it kind of feels like, well, that circular idea, that snake biting its own tail kind of thing. It's, well, which comes first? And it's this sense of reciprocity. And I think this is where the sovereignty piece comes in. And this is why trust is the second pillar on our program of pillars to partnership. This idea that being able to trust oneself, to be able to hold one's own emotional and intellectual experience, then empowers you to be able to be safe with someone else, irrespective of what they do, because you know that you're safe. And this is why the first pillar is truth, being able to understand your own truth. And I had to go on a whole journey for this for myself, of going through the layers. It's said in tantric teaching that the cause of all mind-based suffering is ignorance to the truth of what is, that we distort reality through the lens of our ego, how we perceive the world through these blurred lenses. And that by being able to identify the false narratives, to delayer through all of the dust, to get to the essence nature of who we are, then allows us to be able to build the truths that will support us, that we want to hold, into becoming the people that we want to be in the world with that grounding of essence nature. Then with those truths, intellectually and somatically, emotionally felt, is the ability to feel safe, to know what that feels like in the body, to understand what safety means to you, what it is that's required to create safety. Then being able to communicate that. That's why it's pillar 3. Be able to communicate it, not just to oneself, but to communicate to another in partnership, or even just in relation. We're all in relation to everything else. We're never not relating. Constant dialogue, playing in that trinity of subject, object, and the means of perception. Being able to understand that truth, creating trust within myself to be able to communicate that. And pillar 4 of empathy, being able to witness that you are me and that I am you. This idea of, in Tantra, of non-duality, that everything, all that is, was, and ever will be, is just the one consciousness, expressed through all of these different, unique expressions. We're all just waves on the ocean of the one consciousness. And this is why empathy is so important, at least to us, in conscious intimacy. Being able to see yourself in another and them in you, allowing for the depth of relating so that the relationship can be enjoyed to the fullest. And all of this stuff isn't easy. It's taken me over a decade of self-reflection and education, and about, I would say, tens of thousands of dollars worth of education and development and exploration to be able to understand all of this. And that's why we're offering it to people. Part of Sex.Prayers is this idea of an intimacy academy where we can educate people on how to have healthy, effective, valuable relationships. And so if you're curious to see what's missing, perhaps what's been preventing you from becoming the person you need to be able to attract the relationship that you deserve, or to be able to deepen fully, more fully, into the relationship that you're already enjoying, some cracks starting to show that would benefit from being smoothed over, then an invitation to head over to Sex.Prayers and check out the academy, check out what's on offer. You can join our online community. We have a bunch of resources, a lot of them free, that assist in that direction. And if something really resonated for you in this video, in this reflections, then write it in the chat, wherever it is, and let me know, because we're very curious to learn from you, to learn what challenges you're experiencing in your relating life, so that we can better fill in those gaps for ourselves, but also for those who are curious to learn as well. So I look forward to hearing, engaging, and connecting with you soon.